So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the sun. So in the planetary family, I've been giving everybody a name. The sun is the dad. So the sun is the father, and he is that figure that is warm and protective and loving and just very extremely supportive. That is the energy of the sun. So in today's video, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the sun and what it represents, and then I'm going to talk to you about Jason Momoa, who is the person that I've chosen to represent the sun, and we're going to take a look at his chart. And at the end, I am going to go through the sun in the houses so that you can see what the sun represents wherever he is placed in your chart. Okay, so like I already said, the sun is a very warm, loving energy because he represents the father. So the moon is the nurturing, but so is the sun. The sun also nurtures in a different way. Whereas the moon wants to protect you, the sun wants to build you up, and the sun wants to like kind of push you to get out there. Kind of also like Jupiter. I think of the Jupiter and sun kind of like brothers that are very similar. But Jupiter is a little more loosey-goosey, and the sun is a little bit more about competence and being really excellent. The sun is associated with Leo because he rules Leo. And think about Leo and how Leo is very much about being number one and being the best. The sun is the place in your life where you want to shine, where you want to be the best at something. The sun, think about what the sun does. The sun illuminates. So he brings light, casts a spotlight on a particular area of your chart. So your sun is your ego. It is what you want to shine for in this life. It is very conscious. Well, it depends where he's found in the chart, but the ego is the most conscious energy. The sun, being the ego, is the most conscious energy that you have within you. And like I said, depending on where he is found in the chart. But this energy is what you want others to know about you, what you want to kind of be your signature, not in a 10th house way, not what you hope to accomplish, but just naturally what comes to you naturally. That is the sun. So not only that, but you want to be known for that, but you want to be really good at it too. It's like the thing that you're proud of. Think about Leo, like we said, the sun is proud. Listen to this quote. He said, "I'm an early riser. I work out really hard. I push myself. I get my job done. And at the end of the day, there's a Guinness waiting for me." So he means like there's a Guinness like world record waiting for me. So the sun, like I said, is all about competence. The sun wants to be number one. This obviously depends on what sign your sun is in, but altogether the sun is that energy that you want to exude, that you want others to know about you. Like, what is it that your light is portraying to the world? So let's take a look at his chart and why he is such a Leo person. So yeah, Jason Momoa has a Leo stellium. He has Venus, Mercury, Sun, and Jupiter in Leo. And I really like Jupiter in Leo because I think that Jupiter becomes more exuberant there and just kind of really amps up Leo in general. And since he has the sun there, then since he has the sun there and he has all that energy, remember that stelliums really create energy signatures. So kind of like your brand, if you have a stellium in your chart, that becomes like your brand. And because all of that energy for him is found in Leo, then his brand is really Leo. And Leo is all about self-expression, creativity, and competence. So that's why we looked at those quotes about competence and being number one, okay? So now let's take a look at what that means in your particular chart. We're gonna be talking about the houses. So if you have if you have your sun in the first house, then this means that where you want to shine is really in your personality and who you are, the way that you are seen, the things that you were able to do. You can be rather independent-minded when you have the sun in the first house because you are okay with being different from others. The first house is very independent. It's that house that is associated with Aries. So the opposite being Libra. Libra is all about partnership. So Aries is all about going your own route. And when you have the sun there, that means that you want to be recognized for being independent and for doing your own thing and being an individual, okay? If you have the sun in the second house, then that brings that light to your house of material possessions and money. So that means that you want to be known for the things that you have and the materials that you're able to, gather for yourself and for your work. If you have the sun in the third house, this means that you want to be well known for the people that you know and the way that you speak and the way that you interact with others. You might be a very jolly, like you might be really good at small talk. You might be really good at making friends and meeting new people when you have the sun in the 3rd house. If you have the sun in the 4th house, this is a very private placement. So this means that that persona, that ego self doesn't really come out except for at home. So if you have the sun in the 4th house, you might be the type of person who doesn't really associate with the things of your sun sign. So let's just say you have Cancer, not Cancer, let's not do Cancer, let's do Gemini in the 4th house sun. That would mean that you're not like a traditional Gemini. You might not be so chatty, you might be more private. That would mean that maybe you just show that Gemini side of yourself at home and with those that you're extremely close with. If you have the sun in the 5th house, then that would mean that's obviously a really great placement for the sun. So that would mean that you want to be known for your passions, for all your love affairs, or for the things that you do creatively, the way that you express yourself creatively. If you have the sun in the fifth house, also kids would really like you if you have sun in the 5th house. And you also want to be known for your creativity, maybe with sun in the 5th house, depending on what other planets you have there, don't forget. So if you have sun in the 6th house, then you want to be known for your work and your work ethic. This is kind of like the 6th house is the house of like your daily grind and work, but it's also the house of illness. So this illuminates that. So you might be concerned with health and you might talk a lot about health, and people might know you as like kind of a little bit of a health nut. If you have the sun in the 7th house, then that means that you attract a lot of people to you, period, because your sun is found in that house of partnerships. And that would mean that when you are your best self when you are with a partner, and you might really feel that about yourself, that like you can't really be your best unless you have a partner. That could definitely be a thing for you. If you have the sun in the 8th house, then that would mean that you don't really allow yourself to really let that light shine through. You might not really express the qualities of your sun sign if you have it in the 8th house. Because remember that the 8th house is the house of like, it's like under the bed. That's like the symbolism of the 8th house. It's everything that you hide beneath your bed that you don't want others to see. And for you, what you don't want others to see is that your sun. So that would make it so that your sun sign is a little bit like there's some nuance there. It's not expressed very loudly as if it was placed somewhere else like the 1st house per se, or the 5th house. So another thing is with the sun in the 8th house, you might want to illuminate, so shed light on those 8th house things. So things that are taboo or very painful or difficult, things that are deeply psychological, you might want to shed light on them. So you might want to talk about those things to other people, or just in general, you might want to bring them to light. If you have the sun in the 9th house, then that would make you it makes you a bit of an explorer. So you might like to travel a lot, and you want to be known for your travels and for your philosophy and for being a wise person, and but wise through your experiences. You want to share that knowledge with others because you've lived through a lot of things. If you have the sun in the 9th house, you've had a lot of interesting and cool experiences that you want to share with others. If you have the sun in the 10th house, then your reputation is extremely important to you, and you want to have like a really good reputation when you have the sun in the 10th house. You want it to be not perfect in a Virgo sense, but you want to be the best. You want to be really the best at your career, and you want to, like, there's no space for mediocrity when you have the sun in the 10th house, because it is so tied with your self-worth, because that's your sun, and it's right there, okay? So anything that like hurts your reputation would really, really bring you down. So you really don't like to mess with your reputation. If you have the sun in the 11th house, then this means that you really thrive with friends and in groups of people and social groups, period. And you can make a lot of friends when you have sun in the 11th house. People are just drawn to you because remember, the sun is where you shine, and where you shine, like, people come to you. So that's the house of friendships. So you might be like amiguero. How would you say that in English? So like a person that attracts a lot of friends. You might have a lot of friends in a lot of groups. Maybe not very close friends, but you have a lot of acquaintances for sure. People like you. If you have the sun in the 12th house, then again, this is another one of those houses where your sun sign doesn't really come through. It only comes through in a really deeply spiritual way. So think about how the 12th house is a house of sleep and the psyche and spirituality. And the sun is supposed to be this very exuberant and very visible energy. And when you have it there, he doesn't really get to really shine through. And you might not really get in touch with your sun sign until later in life, when you're able to really work on that 12th house and really kind of break down those barriers that keep the things in that house hidden away. You might have to actually work on, like, you might be like, if you're a Taurus sun in the 12th house and you're really like, you're drawn to security and having material possessions, but you really can't get to them unless you work on those fears or those, it might be that you're afraid of having, I've found that the people who have the sun in the 12th house are kind of not really afraid, but they don't feel comfortable with having the things that that sun wants to have. So for like I said, Taurus, those material possessions, you might feel that they're not for you, or that you're not good enough to have those things that are in the 12th house. So you might not really get them until later in life once you've worked that out, if you do choose to work that out. And that's one of the beautiful things about astrology, is that it allows you to see your blind spots so that you can work on them. And that's something that like you wouldn't really get to know that if you didn't study astrology or some type of other system of self-exploration. So that's why I love it so much. So guys, I hope this video is useful. If you liked it, make sure you give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every single week. I am just now tinkering with the idea of having like a schedule for like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, but don't quote me on that. But for sure, I'm gonna put out 3 videos every week. And I hope you stick around. I will see you in the next video.